Good morning. This is Pastor Jeff, and it is the daily lectionary readings for Thursday, May 6th. Our three readings are Psalm 98, Isaiah 49, 5 and 6, and Acts chapter 10, verses 1 through 34. Let us take a listen to our scriptures of the day. The first one is Psalms 98. Sing to God a brand new song. He's made a world of wonders. He rolled up his sleeves and he set things right. God made history with salvation. He showed the world what he could do. He remembered to love us, a bonus. To his dear family, Israel, indefatigable love. The whole earth comes to attention. Look, God's work of salvation. Shout to your praises to God, everyone. Let loose and sing. Strike up the band. Round up the orchestra to play for God. Add 100-voice choir. Feature trumpets and big trombones. Fill the air with praises to King God. Let the sea and its fish give a round of applause with everything living on earth joining in. Let ocean breakers call out, "Encore!" and the mountains harmonize the finale. A tribute to God when he comes. When he comes to set the earth right. He'll straighten out the whole world. He'll put the whole world right and everyone in it. Our Old Testament reading comes from the book of Isaiah, chapter 49, verses 5 and 6. And now, God says, this God who took me in hand from the moment of birth to be his servant, to bring Jacob back home to him, to set a reunion for Israel. What an honor for me in God's eyes, that God should be my strength. He says, but that's not a big enough job for my servant, just to recover the tribes of Jacob, merely to round up the strays of Israel. I'm setting you up as a light for the nations, so that my salvation becomes global. Our New Testament reading comes from the book of Acts, chapter 10. Hear these words. There was a man named Cornelius, who lived in Caesarea. He was a captain of the Italian guard stationed there. He was a thoroughly good man. He had led everyone in the house to live worshipfully before God. He was always helping people in need, and he had this habit of prayer. One day, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he had a vision. An angel of God, as real as the next door neighbor, came in and said, "Cornelius!" Cornelius stared hard, wondering if he was seeing things. Then he said, "What do you want, sir?" The angel said, "Your prayers and neighborly acts have brought you to God's attention. Here's what you are to do. Send men to Joppa to get Simon, the one everyone calls Peter. He is staying with Simon the tanner, whose house is down by the sea." As soon as the angel was gone, Cornelius called 2 of his servants, and one particularly devout soldier from the guard. He went over with them in great detail everything that had just happened, and then sent them off to Joppa. The next day, as the 3 travelers were approaching the town, Peter went out to the balcony to pray. It was about noon. Peter got hungry and he started thinking about lunch. While lunch was being prepared, he fell into a trance. He saw the skies open up. Something that looked like a huge blanket lowered by ropes of its four corners, settled on the ground. Every kind of animal and reptile and bird that you could think of was on it. Then a voice came, "Go to it, Peter! Kill and eat." Peter said, "No, no, Lord. I've never so much as tasted food that was not kosher." The voice came a second time. "If God says it's okay, it's okay." This happened 3 times. And then the blanket was pulled back up into the skies. As Peter, puzzled, sat there trying to figure out what all of this meant, the men sent by Cornelius showed up at Simon's front door. They called in, asking if there was a Simon, also called Peter, staying there. Peter, lost in thought, didn't hear them. So the Spirit whispered to him, 3 men are knocking at the door looking for you. Go down there and go with them. Don't ask any questions. I sent them to get you." Peter went down and said to the men, "I think I'm the man that you are looking for. What's up?" They said, "Captain Cornelius, a God-fearing man, well known for his fair play. Ask any Jew in the part of the country, was commanded by a holy angel to get you and bring you to his house so he could hear what you had to say." Peter invited them in and made them feel at home. The next morning he got up and he went with them. Some of his friends from Joppa went along. A day later they entered Caesarea. Cornelius was expecting them, and he had his relatives and close friends waiting for him. The minute Peter came through the door, Cornelius was up on his feet greeting him, and then down on his face worshiping him. Peter pulled him up and said, none of that. I'm a man, and only a man. No different from you." Talking things over, they went into the house, where Cornelius introduced Peter to everyone who had come. Peter addressed them, "You know, I'm sure that this is highly irregular. Jews just don't do this. Visit and relax with people of another race. But God has just shown me that no race is better than any other. So the minute I was sent for, I came. No questions asked. But now I'd like to know why you sent for me." Cornelius said, 4 days ago, at about this time, mid-afternoon, I was home praying. Suddenly, there was a man right in front of me, flooding the room with light. "Cornelius, your daily prayers and neighborly acts have brought you to God's attention. I want you to send to Joppa to get Simon, the one they call Peter. He's staying with Simon the tanner down by the sea." So I did it. I sent for you, and you've been good enough to come. And now we are all here in God's presence, ready to listen to whatever the Master put in your heart to tell us. Peter fairly exploded with his good news. It's God's own truth. Nothing could be plainer. God plays no favorites. It makes no difference who you are or where you're from. If you want God and are ready to do as he says, the door is open. The message he sent to the children of Israel, that through Jesus Christ, everything is being put together again. Well, he's doing it everywhere, among everyone. And here ends our readings for the day.